look on the balance sheet, you should literally put down yourself, because anytime I invest $1 into myself, and whether that's through time, reading books, listening to podcasts like this, masterminds, coaching, my health, I always get a 10x to a 100x return on that. So even if if it was down to your last $100,000, where would you invest that? You should invest that in yourself, right? Because that's the ultimate leverage point. That's the ultimate way to multiply your capital.
Correct. I mean, you always need to invest in yourself. I went to an event called Growth Hacking Live 5 weeks ago. I learned how to Vibe code, VIBE code. And basically what it is you're a coder, but you talk to AI and it does all the coding for you. And was that important to me at the time? I had no idea how important it was going to be to me at the time. I'm doing a ton of stuff. Like I created a podcast app that takes your podcast MP4, edits it, takes it all the way through the process, and will distribute it to all your places for you automatically once you set it all up. So, I mean, those things that I've wanted to get done that never could be done before can be done now. How are you using AI in your stuff, or are you using any AI in your stuff?
We're using AI extensively. So one thing, let's talk about investing that could be helpful for people, due diligence, right? Phenomenal way to do due diligence, like examining PPMs, looking at different managers on different deals, and really providing some assessments in there. And then our LLM just keeps getting smarter and smarter based on all the different, deals that we're analyzing, the inputs that we're putting into that. So it used to take so much time, right, to pour through all those documents and things. Now we can, do that in a fraction of the time. That's really helpful. And also, how we're organizing our company from an operational perspective. How can we be always more efficient? And I come from tech industry anyway, and consulting background. So, process to me is king, right? Everything's about people, process, and technology. Really, automation has always been around. They just called it something different. Now everyone calls everything AI. All it is automation, right? It's enhanced automation, but you have to understand your process before you do that. But in the investing world, actually, here's another use case. So I was on actually one of my podcasts earlier, and the guest was making this really profound insight. He wrote a book that basically how much fees are killing investors, investing in like a 401k. And you might say, hey, it's only, it's 1 point of investable assets. But he's saying, like, look, nobody does the math on this over time. So if you take out that 1% and you keep contributing to this thing over 35 years, it's actually a massive amount of impact. So now you could actually just take your 401k, put it in ChatGPT and say, hey, if I've got a 1% to this, let's assume I contribute 20% of my salary, that scales at 6% a year for the next 30 years. What is the actual impact of the fees? And you could actually, pull that out pretty quickly, which that's a real eye opener. Or some of these tax savings, like we were talking about, some of these tax planning scenarios. If you were to quantify the tax impact, especially over a given period of time, which no one really can kind of think that far ahead, and then you quantify the true impact to that, you might make a different decision, based on that.
What you should do, Dave, is you should build an app that does that.
It's interesting you said that, Ed. We actually are, and it is launching in January. It's called Pantheon Wealth OS, and I have struggled. I'll be curious to see what you think about this.